So this may or may not be a successful project. We shall see. Hi, welcome to my channel, Senior Sue, Cacti and Succulents. Well, today I'm going to attempt to make a succulent wall hanging, and I more than likely will put this outside. The piece that I have here, I purchased, and it's actually to mount a staghorn on, but I thought it might work for putting succulents in here. And then I have some sphagnum moss in this big block that I'll be soaking inside my container. Okay, so you can see it's kind of thin, you know, the depth. So we'll see. I do have another box that my husband made for me, but I might do that project in another video, and that one has a bigger depth. But I thought I would see what I could do by purchasing a few things from online. Okay, so I have this container, or this wall mounting thing, and you can see it has little holes here, so I can put the, you know, succulents, poke them through. Now these, some of these are too big, so I may not use them. I'll probably use, let me see if you can see my hand. Oh, I mean, see the succulent? It's hard to get it in here at the moment. Well, kind of, you get the idea. So I'm going to poke them through, and then on the back side will be the sphagnum moss. And then I thought for the backing, I have this old cutting board that I had used as kind of like a painting mat when I was painting some pots. So I'm going to cut it and then just mount it onto the back of here after I get the sphagnum moss on. So what I was thinking, since it's really narrow, that I would either use some of these zip ties here that I have, or this wire. So I'll have to punch little holes into this and then attach it to the back of this. So first I'm going to get my sphagnum moss in there, but let me show you the items that I have for the project. All right, here are all the succulents that I have, and some of them are actually too large to use for this frame. It would take up the whole frame, and I think they would be too heavy, and others grow tall. So what I'm going to use for this project is just little rosettes. Now I did order all these cuttings. However, I do have a succulent garden out in my backyard, so I may just be cutting some clippings from those of various succulents that I have that might be rosettes. Now this one would not be appropriate either for a succulent wall hanging. At least I don't think so. They would get too gangly, and they would get too gangly, and I don't think it would look all that great. Okay, so same with this. This is a, I think it's Kalanchoe Fedoshenko, I'm not sure. Anyway, this, I don't think this would look good in there either. So I'm just basically going to use rosettes. Now this one looks like a hen and chicks, a hen and chicks. So I won't use that one. They get little shoots that grow off of it, and you know, kind of spread all over, hence the name chicks. This will produce little chicks, so I won't be using that one. So all of these other ones that I'm not going to use, I will probably just put them in a container, fill a container with soil, and set them on top until they develop roots. So that is what I will do with the ones that I do not like. I might consider using these. So we'll see how it goes. So the first, let me show you what else I have here. I'm working on this in my kitchen. So this would be a great project to do if you have a rainy day or a really hot, miserable day, a project that you can do indoors. Okay, so I have this wire that I might use to wire up this plastic cutting mat, and I have these zip ties. We'll see what I'll use, some tweezers, a little pokey stick to cut some of the succulents, and here's my sphagnum moss and my container that I'm going to soak it in. So I have never done this before, so we'll see how this project turns out. So the first thing I'm going to do is get this sphagnum moss soaking. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, see you in a half a second. All right, let's cut this open. Ooh, that's a little dusty. I'm gonna rip. Ooh. Okay, now I have no clue how to do this. No instructions on the package either. So maybe I'll just rip some chunks off. See how that goes. Let me put just a, wow, what a mess. Let me put just a little bit in at a time and see how that goes. Let me fill this up with some water. Okay. Yeah, that's nice. Looks like it might work. Okay, now we get to a messy part here. Oh, no, I'm going to let that soak, and we are going to cut the back of the board for my wall hanging. Okay, so I'm going to trace off the size that I want. And I do have another cutting one of these, or a couple of these, that I can use in case I screw this up. We'll see. I think I'm going to lay it, yeah, this way. And I already did start cutting a little bit to see if I could cut this with just a pair of scissors, and I can't. All right, so let me put this down, see if it's straight. And if it's not perfect, you know, no big deal. This is the back of it. Yeah, it's making a mark. And these mats, you can just, you know, plastic mats, if you do decide to use this project, you can get them on Amazon. That's where I purchased this. This is not sponsored in any way for Amazon. But, you know, check around in your stores to see if you can get them there if you don't like ordering from Amazon. I try not to. I try to go to stores rather than ordering off rather than ordering from Amazon. So what I will have to do is poke some holes in here, and I think I might go ahead and use these zip ties. Okay, I realize the light might not be the best out here, but what I'm ending up doing is using this drill, and I was lucky I was able to get the bit in because I'm really not good with tools. But, so I put my plastic sheet down here, and I put a board on top so I wouldn't drill holes through my husband's workbench. He might not appreciate that. So I'm going to just drill maybe about 3 holes on each side. So I have this one here. And like I said, I decided to use this wire instead of the zip ties, because then I don't have to, I was going to change, I tried to put the zip tie through here, but the hole was too small. And I don't feel like messing around with the drill bit again. So I'm just going to use this, and I think that will work out just fine. Okay, so let me show you how I'm doing this. Okay. So I have it on the board here. Just going to drill another hole right into there. Yeah, that's about in the middle. Yep, got it. All right, so that's how you do that. All right, all of my holes have been drilled in here, so I'm going to set this aside for the moment. Well, actually, I'll just put it under here for now. And I'm going to start packing some of this sphagnum moss in here. Yeah. I think I'm just going to really load it up. I may end up needing to soak more moss, but we'll see. This is pretty wet, so I'll probably you know, push a lot of the water out of this. Actually, I should push it out before I even put it in here. Here. Yeah, that would have been the smart thing to do. Wring it out before I put it in. All right, good enough. Oops, got to wring it out again. Yeah, I'm just going to wring each individual one out. There, that's better. Okay, I think I'm going to need a little more moss. I'll just tear another chunk off. Okay. All right. Okay, I think I have it packed in pretty good here. So here's what the front of it looks like. Yeah? All right. Let's see if this plan works. I think I'll start with a corner. Okay. I'm going to have to, I don't know if you can see this here, kind of punch it through the moss. This is kind of a trick here. Let's see, I'll just move the moss aside of here. There, got it. I'm not sure how much wire I'm gonna need. I think this is like some type of florist wire. Okay, come on, cut. You're learning with me as I'm doing this. There we go. There. So you can see that I have it attached here and there. Okay. So I'll go ahead and just, probably should have left myself a little bit of a longer wire. Now it's okay. Okay. Let's cut another piece. Slick. All right. Feed this one through. Yeah, this is a trick. Zip ties might be better going through, but I'm getting it through. Okay, so here's another one. And it doesn't make any difference what the back looks like because that's going up against the wall. Okay, I'm going to finish putting all these ties in, and I'll be back when that part is done. All right, a couple of things here. One, it probably would be better if you used some black ties or black zip ties. That would kind of hide the green here a little bit where I tied them in. And what's the other thing? Okay, I'm going to remove these screws here. The other thing, as you can see here a little bit of the yellow. So I'm just going to cut that with a pair of scissors to trim it off. Hopefully, yeah, I think you can see that. So, but all in all, so far so good. I'm liking what I'm seeing here for the project. So let me cut this stuff off. Yeah, it's held up pretty good. All right, let's cut this stuff off. And hopefully, yeah, I'm okay. I don't want to cut where I had the ties. Yeah, I'm going to cut it on this side, be easier, so I can see what I'm doing. All right, let's start off on this edge. Let me see how that is. Not bad. It's not perfect, but, you know, learn as you go. Definitely don't want to cut through where the holes are. That would be bad. You know what? Some type of razor might work. Let me see if I can do that. Okay. This is what I use for opening up packages and stuff. Let's see if I can do it that way. No, too dull. Oh, no, there we go. Just have to use a little bit of pressure and wiggling it around. Oh yeah, much better than using a scissor. Ooh, don't want to cut through my wire. That would be bad. Straighter edge too. All right, it's looking a little bit better. Let me work on this some more and I'll be back in a second. I think it worked out fairly decent. There's just a little bit on the edge, but I don't think you'll really notice it once I have it hanging up. So now I'm going to unscrew, and this worked out really nice, kind of like an X-Acto knife. Okay, let me unscrew these things. Oh, that was easy. And then we will get to the fun part of this project. Okay. Let me bring you down here a little more so you can see a little bit. Okay, we are ready to go. So here are the succulents right here. Hopefully I will not have to go into my backyard and cut more, but I think I might have to. Ooh, that would look kind of pretty in the middle. Okay, what I'm going to do is tear off some of these lower leaves so I can have a little bit more of a stem here. Now these have been sitting on my kitchen counter for about 3 days. So they are all hardened off. So I'm going to take a little more off of this one. There. That looks, well, let me see. Ah, that's good. I'll leave it like that. Now, you'll notice that this line here is pretty much right in the center, so that's kind of a bummer here. Let me, yeah, this is not good on this one because the stem is pretty thick. So this one is not going to work here. Let me see. Yeah, I will save that for something else. Hopefully the rest of these have some fairly small stems. So this one is a no-go because the stem is pretty thick. And as I said before, I can always go out in my backyard and find some rosettes out there to pick. Now what you could also do with these is propagate these, but I don't think I'll do that. Okay, you see here I'm just pulling them off because I want a little bit of a stem here on the bottom to be able to poke through. All right. Let me, there. Okay, that's fitting pretty good. There. And if I put other ones beside it, hopefully it'll hold in place. Well, like I said, we shall see if this works or not. If not, I will go out. These stems on all of these may be too big. think maybe I might need a longer stem. Well, that turned that into a rather small rose head or rosette head. Yeah, that fits better. I like that. Okay, that is good. Okay, let's get the rest of these in here. And you definitely can see that these are all hardened off. You don't want, well, you could put a fresh succulent in here, but you'd have your moss, you would not want it as wet as I have mine. And once you see that it starts to form roots, you can gently tug on it to see if it has roots. Then you can start watering. Yeah, I have a feeling I'm definitely going to need to get more succulents out of my backyard. Yeah, I'm whittling these down to nothing. And I'm just twisting them off. That's a pretty good size. You know what? I'm going to pull this one out for now. And then stick this back in a different spot. I was thinking that I could put them in some sort of nice pattern, but the way things are going, I think I'm lucky to get them in here. Oh yeah, that one will fit great. See how narrow the stem is on this? I think this is going to work better with narrower stems because of the size of the holes here. So now if you use like a wire, a wider chicken wire, you can put the thicker stemmed ones in, I'm pretty sure. Okay, let's put this one in. This one is definitely a thirsty guy. I'm going to try and put these in as close as possible. All right, this is how she's looking so far. Now, I am not a very artistic type person, so you could probably make this look a whole lot better than what I am. Okay, I like that there. That looks good. Rip off a few of the leaves. Yeah, right here. I'm just using this to kind of dig a hole in here and then poke it right down in there. Ooh, nice. Let's see if any fall out yet. So far, so good. Okay, I'm going to put as much in here as I can, and I'll bring you back on and show you what I have done. We'll see if I need to pick more out of my garden, but I'm pretty sure I will need to. All right, see you in a second. Okay, I think I need to pick a few rosettes. And if you're wondering why that umbrella is there, it's to shade some of my succulents for when it gets too hot. All right, let's see what we have here. Now this, I think, would be a good one. Almost kind of hate to cut it. What did I cut? All right. There we go. Nope, don't want a dried up leaf in there. All right, maybe one more. There. That looks good. Okay, and I really like that stuff up against the wall. I'll just take the ones in the back. There we go. One more of this. I've decided not to fill the entire frame up. All right, I think some of that over there would look nice. Let me get some of that. This little guy here. Oh. Well, those are kind of big. Well, I'll go ahead and cut one and see what I can do. Okay. Okay, I am going to leave it at that for now. Okay, I changed my mind. I think I'm going to cut some of this sedum here. Those will slip in really nice into the little holes. Okay, what else can I find? Okay, I can't resist. I'm going to cut a few of these here. Oop. Pretty. And maybe one more. Where'd it go? Okay, I couldn't help myself. I ended up cutting quite a few more pieces to put in here. But I got pretty good selection here. And these will be okay, even though it is slightly damp. It would be preferable if you let them dry out a little bit, the stems, but I am not worried about it. And you can see what I have done here so far. I'm liking the way this is looking, and you do not have to fill the entire frame up, so we'll see how far I can get with what I have. So I'll be back in a second. All right, here is a close-up look, and I did leave some blank spots. From a distance, you might not be able to notice these green ties too much, nor this yellow, because once I tip it up, you really can't see the yellow. But let me give you a really good close-up look. And I will be cutting these extra pieces off here. Okay, let me show you where I'm going to let this lay outside for about a week, and then I will show you where I'm thinking of hanging it. I'm not sure, I might change my mind, but what you need to do is check back with me in some of my future videos to find out where it ends up being hung. Okay, so here is the finished product. I am going to probably just lay this flat outside for about a week or so, and I'm going to put it in pretty much shade, and then I will hang it up on the wall. But let me give you a close-up look of how this looks. I am really pleased with this, especially since it's the first time I ever made one. And now what I also did, if I noticed that some of these succulents were kind of loose, I took these little tweezers, took some more moss out of my bowl over here, this guy, and I kind of packed it around the succulent. But I like it. I like it a lot. All right, let me take you outside and show you where I'm going to place it. Okay, I'm thinking of hanging it somewhere over near here. I'm not sure. But for now, I'm just going to leave it here on this table. Let it sit here for about a week. All right, thank you so much for watching. Check back with me again to see what I'm up to next time. Bye.